Hello, my name is Don Tipping, and I want to invite you to participate in a unique, special opportunity and immersive experience that I have been offering here on my farm in southwestern Oregon, which is the home of Siskiyou Seeds, a farm-based bioregional organic seed company. And I call it the Seed Academy. And I conceived of this back in 2013 as a way to bring people here and teach the basics of seed saving. And I offer it as a spring course and a fall course. And to provide some context, for a number of years, I was involved in various organizations like the Organic Seed Alliance and the Rocky Mountain Seed Alliance, doing seed schools. It started in 1999 with my late great friend, Dr. John Navazio, when the Biodynamic Seed and Plant Association offered a Fundamentals of Plant Improvement class. And that was really one of the first times this happened. And it was a group of mostly farmers who came together to learn about plant breeding and selection and that kind of thing in an organic context. Later, through the work of Bill McDorman, first at Native Seed Search and later at the organization, the Rocky Mountain Seed Alliance, of which I was a board member, we would offer seed schools all over the country. Both of those two initiatives came to a close, and I saw the need for doing seed saving in the context where it happens, where you're growing the plants. And I took the name Academy, inspired by Plato's Academy, which was really the first documented organization of higher learning. And the academy was in Athens, and it was honoring Athena, who was the goddess of skill at that time. So the key thing about the understanding of an academy is it's not a narrow, specialized approach. It is a multidisciplinary, whole systems approach, and very much in the spirit of spiritual science, as first coined by Goethe and later elaborated by Rudolf Steiner through anthroposophy and biodynamics. And basically, the understanding is that most Western science only understands nature through analyzing what's dead about it. Like we learn anatomy by dissecting a frog, but the part that's alive, you can't look in the body of the frog for the part that makes it alive. Like the moment it goes from dead to alive, nothing is taken out. So the idea of learning seed saving on your computer or on a YouTube video, you might get a good introduction, but you can't really access that ineffable quality. So that's where I've conceived of doing it here on my farm, which is very much a farm. We're not a retreat center or an educational facility, albeit we do make a good effort to create a comfortable environment for people to come here and participate. But by doing it here, you're immersed in the whole farm experience. And through Waldorf education, there's a phrase that we educate to the head, the heart, and the hands, because we all learn in varying degrees or proportions through those primary mechanisms. And we can think about it today. Among adults, we talk about there's intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, and a bit of a kinesthetic intelligence, which some people might say somatic, that which is in the body. So things like winnowing, for instance, which is, if you're unfamiliar with the term, is the process of using the wind or a fan to remove the lighter chaff from the heavy seed. I could describe it to you all day. I could make diagrams, you could watch a video, but there's nothing quite like holding a bin of seeds with the right amount of wind and feeling there's a technique to it. And you just have to do it over and over. And that's that, somatic, kinesthetic experience. And that's best done in person. When you can watch somebody do it, you can watch somebody else learn how to do it, you can begin to do it, and then you can get pointers how to improve your technique. So back to the idea of one of the really important parts why I feel adamant about the farm-based experience is doing it in the context of this farm here, where this is year 25 on this site. And when we first moved here, it was just kind of a blank slate, an old homestead where they'd never really farmed. They'd had some animals and for 50 years, and then prior to that, probably another 50 years. So not only are you able to learn seed saving and whatever's on the syllabus, it's all happening amidst that there's dogs, cats, sheep, goats, ducks, chickens, all the life of the farm, all the frogs, snakes, turtles, insects, spiders, all that stuff. And also, this farm is highly diversified. So while we do grow about 3 acres of flowers, vegetables, herbs, and small grains for seed here, and you're able to see those growing, understand the varietal, the reason why that variety was chosen, some of the adaptation considerations, selection, breeding, spacing, all of the agronomic traits. You also are seeing that it's happening inside of an evolving agroecological system where there's fruit trees, nut trees, pollinator trees, medicinal herbs, medicinal shrubs, various things just for their flowers or their beneficial parts of the plants that are used, and see how all of this is married together in a cohesive whole. And so back to that idea of the whole system, and see how, in my understanding, this whole farm ecosystem is evolving over time. And by coming here, you're getting to witness that. And part of that is also the context. And I think what differentiates a garden from a farm is you have a farm once you're making money off of it. Otherwise, it's just a garden, which is great. Gardens have an important role. And so within the context of it being a farm that has a business, we let people into that context of farm-based cottage industry and the entrepreneurial considerations of marketing and branding and storytelling and that kind of thing. Another super important part of why it's really valuable to come be part of the Seed Academy on farm is the community. And you get to join in a circle of friends on the journey of upgrading your horticultural knowledge. And we live in this time where there is I would say, a crisis of ecological illiteracy. People are not taught the basic principles of ecology, let alone the basic principles of horticulture. This is not part of the curriculum in most of our K through 12th grade schools, and you could get a whole college degree without ever learning about how plants make the oxygen that you breathe and basically provide for almost all of our human needs. So being in that group of people who are at different points, we've had everybody from college professors to people that are children participate in the Seed Academy. So coming together and seeing how we each have different pieces of knowledge and that the journey is never ending. No matter how long you do it, there's always some new thing to learn, and we're learning from one another. And so in my view, although I'm trying to present a curriculum of covering the basics of reproductive biology, botany and plants, how to identify the various flower structures in plants, and the basic principles behind genetics and breeding, I think some of the most valuable takeaways that people get are during the meals, the times outside of the syllabus, if you will, and from the other participants, learning from one another. So within that, there's also a bit of mentorship, because you're coming into this circle of people that are curious or passionate about seeds as one of the primary foundational building blocks of civilization. So within that, there is mentorship, because we're exchanging contact information, and people will follow up and maybe later visit one another or stay in touch through email or social media, or writing letters to one another, or sending seeds to one another. And that, I think, is really valuable in this time of disconnection, when people are relying on the internet for so much of their social community. And one of the things I always try and weave in is a lot of the sociological, the backdrop against which seed saving has happened. Because basically when we moved from hunter-gatherers to civilization was basically the moment when we began saving seeds and developed these grain-based agricultures, food storage, allowed for the extrapolation of all of the intricacies that make up civilization. So inside of that, there's always mentorship of we're either emulating someone who's a little bit farther along on the journey in their understanding or their implementation of the practices, or availing ourselves to having someone we can reach out to when we run into a question or needing a little bit of advice or guidance about things. So that's something over time I've brought in some friends to help hold that container for that mentorship process and to really create that community of practice around seed saving. So my friend Dr. Jessica Plancetz, who's a PhD psychologist, comes in and helps people answer the question of what's your why? Why are you here? Because in life sometimes we need an upgrade of our skills. We need an upgrade of our living situation or our perspective on society. So understanding the why of why you do that, why did you hear the call, is an important thing to identify. So we begin the event with a session where we're doing that process of answering the what, because the how and the actual details, that is a lifelong journey that's always evolving. And then at the end of the whole weekend, we come back together with my friend Jessica, and she helps us. Usually we break into partner exercises to see how we are going to weave this new information, this new perspective into our life. And so in closing, I think that's really the most important thing of what I'm trying to offer, because in my own journey of having been doing seed saving for over 30 years as a profession, I'm seeing in a certain period of time, I'm going to move on to other things like more plant breeding or more understanding, horticultural preservation in terms of seed banks and getting more of a safety backup for our civilization, or if you will, food system insurance is one way I look at maintaining a seed bank. So within that, seeing how we are all at some point of the evolution of the circle of life, and humans are not separate from all the other things. So when we come together for the Seed Academy, we're going through the curriculum, and there's lectures and hands-on and various activities like that are more like a traditional educational program. But then we do meals here, and we're trying to provide as much of the food as possible from the farm or neighboring farms within our wider community. But after dinner, we sit around the campfire, and there's storytelling and sharing from the knowledge base and the experience base of the group. And the animals are coming, cats are coming and sitting on people's laps, and there's an intergenerational weaving that's creating a tighter, weave of how do we hold being alive at this time in a planet careening towards worshiping technology that is all still based on the fundamental exchange of atoms and molecules and water and air and sunlight. So seeing this unique paradox that we're in, that no matter how technologically advanced we get, we still breathe air and need to drink water, we need to eat through our mouth and exchange waste products with the rest of the whole circle of creation. So we bring it around like that, and I usually invite some friends who are good storytellers to connect indigenous understandings of humanity's role with this scientific approach of we keep surmounting hurdles of, for instance, understanding epigenetics within how a species might interact with the environment. So within that, you're a species interacting with the environment, and if you want to move to a higher octave of understanding and your ability to put that into practice of how you as a species are interacting with the environment, ideally for a positive change. And amidst all of the challenges that humanity faces today, we're still going to need to eat tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, 10 years from now. and the degree to which we can meet our needs locally, which starts with seed, then soil, sunlight, water, and then radiates out, the more we can basically implicate ourselves in a positive future. So if you want to be part of a positive future, I strongly encourage you to come join our Seed Academy. We offer it in spring. This year it's the end of May, and typically sometime around the end of September or October. This year in 2025, we're doing it at the beginning of October. And I've gotten feedback from a lot of people that it has been a major turning point in their life, and the friendships, the network, the experience, the lessons, the stories have been things that have become a North Star for them. And in closing, for us here at Siskiyou Seeds, our North Star, and you never reach the North Star because it's in the heavens, but it guides you in a direction. Our North Star is that a seed company like ours becomes obsolete because the practice of seed saving becomes so widespread that it would seem laughable, the idea of buying seeds or needing to go outside your community to obtain seeds, because that's where civilization came from. Seed companies is a new idea. Seeds you can trade, but it was always something that helped the civilization. It was that that rhythmic perturbation of being tied to the seasons and the cycles of life that was at the heart of a vibrant, resilient, regenerative community. So I encourage you to join in being part of that circulation of life. Thank you.